Hello, everybody. Tim Teacher here with another chapter in our book, Obi, Gerbil on the Loose. Right, here's Obi. The book is by Michael Delaney, right? A very good book. We've been enjoying a chapter each week. So far we know that Obi's owner, right, or mother, right, Rachel Armstrong, right, her family, the Armstrong family, is going on a trip and they're getting ready to take a trip. And Rachel is supposed to be getting ready, but she keeps messing with her music, right? And Obi wanted to find out about the trip. What's going on? Where are they going? Wanted the details for the trip. And nobody, not the cat, Sweetie Smoochkins, or anybody else seemed to be wanting to tell Obi about this sort of secret trip that everybody else seemed to know about. So Obi had the bright idea to go downstairs to talk to Mac, right? Mac is one of the dogs, right, in the house. So Obi got in her gerbil mobile, which is a big, round, clear ball that the gerbil can go in and roll all around, right? And then Rachel took her downstairs. And Rachel almost forgot to leave Obi downstairs, but then she remembered at the last second last week, right? So this week, we're on chapter 6. A big commotion. A big commotion. Mac! Mac! Obi cried excitedly as she rolled into the room where the Armstrongs watched TV. Mac lay with his eyes closed on his big, round, comfy-looking doggy bed that sat in the corner of the room. "I just heard the good news, Mac." Mac didn't open his eyes. He was sound asleep. Obi couldn't believe it. How could Mac sleep on a big day like today when they were all about to go on a big trip? "Hello, Mac," said Obi as she rolled the gerbil mobile up to Mac's face. Hello, hello," shrieked a high-pitched voice from across the room. It was the parrot, Mr. Smithers. He was perched on the trapeze bar in his wire cage, which was suspended from the ceiling. In truth, Obi really just wanted to talk to Mac. However, being the polite gerbil she was, she swiveled her gerbil mobile about to face the parrot. "Hello to you too, Mr. Smithers," she said, peering up at the parrot. "And hello to you, Betsy and Susie." The goldfish did not respond. They never did. True, they couldn't. They were, after all, underwater. But it seemed to Obi that they could at least swim over to the glass and make an attempt to be friendly, instead of being antisocial and fluttering about inside their underwater castle. "Hello, hello," said Mr. Smithers cheerfully. "Hello, Mr. Smithers," said Obi. "Did you hear about the trip?" "Hello, hello." "Hello," said Obi. Hello, hello." "Hello, Mr. Smithers. Did you hear about the big trip we're all going on?" "Hello, hello. Hello, hello." Obi wasn't quite sure what the matter was with Mr. Smithers, but there was definitely something wrong with him, because this was how a typical conversation with him always went. Needless to say, it did not make for a terribly engaging conversation. Obi rolled her gerbil mobile back to where Mac lay sleeping. She was so anxious to ask him about the trip, she rolled too fast. She was unable to stop when she got to his doggy bed. She smacked right into Mac's nose. "Oops, sorry, Mac," cried Obi, horrified at what she had done. The yellow lab opened his eyes and gazed groggily at Obi inside the plastic globe. "Hello, Mac," said Obi with a big cheerful smile. Mac, who was old and feeble and rather deaf, was a dog of few words. He merely grunted hello and closed his eyes again. "I just heard the good news," said Obi. That perked Mac up. He opened his eyes and said, "What good news?" "You know," said Obi, "about the trip." Mac sat up and eyed Obi closely. He no longer looked sleepy. "Trip? What trip?" "You know, the big trip." From his cage across the room, Mr. Smithers began to shriek, big trip, big trip, big trip, big trip." "What big trip?" demanded Mac, staring at Obi. To Obi's surprise, Mac did not seem to know anything about the trip. And then it occurred to Obi that of course Mac didn't know anything about the trip. Why would he? He was always sleeping, the lazy old dog. "Didn't you hear," said Obi, "the Armstrongs are going on a trip, a big trip." Deep furrows appeared on Mac's brow. He looked anxious and worried. "They're going on a big trip?" he wailed. "Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!" cried Mr. Smithers as, ruffling his feathers, he moved about on his trapeze bar. Obie was startled and, frankly, rather puzzled by Mac's reaction. "But that's good news, Mac," she said. Then, with a question mark in her voice, she added, "Isn't it?" "No, it's not good news," said Mac gruffly, glaring at Obie as if somehow she were to blame. "A big trip means they're going to put me in the kennel." "Oh, sorry, Mac, I didn't know," said Obie. Truth be told, Obie did not even know what a kennel was. She decided that this was probably not the best time to ask Mac about it, though. Obie was beginning to wish she had never asked Mac about the trip in the first place. Who knew it would cause such a big commotion? Mr. Smithers certainly wasn't helping matters. From his cage, he kept shrieking out, "Trip, trip, big trip, big trip." This only made Mac more upset. "Trip, trip," he moaned, echoing Mr. Smithers. "Big trip, big trip. Oh, I hate when the Armstrongs go on a big trip. Hate it, hate it, hate it. They haven't gone on a big trip in years. Why do they have to go on one now? Big trip, shouted Mr. Smithers. Mr. Smithers was really getting on Obie's nerves. If he said big trip, one more time, big trip, Obie lost her temper. Whirling about, she snapped at the parrot. "Oh, for goodness sake, Mr. Smithers, will you be quiet? Quiet. Just then, out in the hallway, Obie heard voices, human teenage boys' voices. The voices were coming toward the TV room. Obie, who was a timid creature by nature, became frightened. She quickly rolled her gerbil mobile behind the couch and hid out of sight. I hope you enjoyed the reading this week from Chapter 6. Next week we will read Chapter 7, A Dirty Trick. A dirty trick? I don't know what the dirty trick will be. I enjoyed reading with you this week. I look forward to reading with you next week. Goodbye.